Founded in 1937, STIAG has been a pioneer and trusted brand in efficient, reliable and future-ready power solutions for over 8 decades. Headquartered in Germany's industrial heartland Essen, STIAG has developed, commissioned and operated over 11 gigawatt of thermal and renewable-based plants. Beyond owning and operating power assets, STIAG's expertise spans the full energy services value chain. Engineering, operation, maintenance and cutting-edge digital solutions. From high-efficiency hard coal power plants to combined cycle plants, from CFBC technology to solar fields, wind farms and battery storage, STIAG has enabled cleaner, more resilient energy systems in over 80 countries. In 2001, STIAG brought world-class German expertise to India by creating a wholly owned subsidiary, STIAG Energy Services India, with the motto, "Quality in everything we do." STIAG India has grown to operate and maintain over 6 gigawatt of coal, oil, gas and renewable-based power plants. The company delivers end-to-end power sector services including project development, engineering, O&M, digital solutions, performance auditing, diagnostics and training. Serving prestigious clients at national and international level with innovation and excellence. Safety and sustainability are embedded in every step at STIAG. From customized decarbonization strategies like CCUS, green hydrogen mission and methanol economy, we deliver performance that aligns with the emerging energy vision. With a digital-first approach, STIAG leverages advanced tools such as Epsilon, Pardo, Power Factory, CMS, incorporating thermodynamics and AI/ML models to transform plant data into actionable insights, enhancing reliability, availability and cost optimization for customer delight. Internationally reputed STIAG Learning Center is recognized by CEA, Government of India, for customized and high-quality learning experiences, encompassing classroom training with modern simulator and field exposure. STIAG India. Powering performance, inspiring trust. Partner with STIAG for a brighter future where reliability meets innovation.
Brief introduction about STIAG. So STIAG Icony Group is basically a German MNC and it has two subsidiaries, 100% owned subsidiaries, STIAG Power and Icony. So STIAG Power and Icony, they have headquarters in Essen in Germany, and STIAG Power takes care of all the conventional business in coal, gas and all, while Icony takes care of businesses for the green source, green energy basically. And STIAG Energy Services India Private Limited, from where I belong, it is a 100% owned subsidiary of STIAG Power. And we have three subsidiaries which are owned 100% by STIAG India, STIAG Botswana, and STIAG O&M Company, which is a joint venture of STIAG and Hinduja Group. And also we have a branch office in Dubai. So we deal with O&M, operation and maintenance of coal-fired, gas-fired and solar power plants. So we do more than 11,000 megawatt full scope O&M for third parties, and we provide O&M management support to further 3,500 megawatt. Then we also provide engineering services like feasibility study, DPR, detailed engineering, and all to more than 100,000 megawatt across different technologies. Then we also have IT solutions for increasing the efficiency and performance of power plants. And we have delivered more than 2,000 IT systems. So we have O&M experience, we have engineering experience, then we have digital tools. So we call ourselves as consultants with operational experience. These are the business lines of STIAG. So we have 7 business lines. So main one is O&M services. So we provide comprehensive O&M services for coal, gas, combined cycle power plants. Then we have system technologies division, which takes care of the digital solutions, which provide digital twins. We have simulators for operator training purpose. Then we have diagnostic software, SPC, statistical process control, which Mr. Praveen will be talking about today, which uses neural models, that is AI models, to help predict the failures. Then we have simulators for transmission and distribution, boiler tube leakage, and all. Then we have energy technologies division, which do honors engineering, review engineering, renovation and modernization, detailed project report, these all. And then we have renewable energies division, which do honors project management consultancy, O&M, due diligence, lender independent engineering, grid interconnection studies for solar, wind, green hydrogen, electric vehicles, battery energy storage systems, this field. Then we have project development division that do project development studies, concept engineering, due diligence. It also deals with lenders engineering for renewable energies, then transmission and distribution. Then we have technical services division that provides energy audit, water audits, performance test, PG test and all. Then we have Government of India recognized training center where we perform classroom trainings and simulator trainings. Yeah. So now coming on to the main topic. So what is AI, artificial intelligence? So artificial intelligence is basically a field of computer science which is focused on creating machines or systems that can perform tasks that require human intelligence. So simple, it is a field of computer science which is focused on creating machines that can perform tasks which require human intelligence. So these tasks includes reasoning, problem solving, learning, perception, understanding natural language, and decision making. So these all tasks are what AI can perform, and AI includes several techniques, including machine learning and deep learning. So we all know examples of AI, like for example, chatbots like Siri, Alexa. Then we also know now there are self-driving cars. So we are all used to these things. And now even generative AI is coming, which is a bit creative AI. So it can produce new music, new videos, new images. You just give a prompt and it can give the image you want. Then all we are using ChatGPT, which is using LLM models at the back end. So I hope you all have encountered it in your real life. So we have understood artificial intelligence is field of computer science which creates machine to perform tasks that requires human intelligence. Now coming on to what is machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that enables systems to learn from data. Okay. So it is a subset of AI that enables systems to learn from data. And so instead of being explicitly programmed, machine learning models, they learn from patterns from the data and they improve their performance over time without human intervention. And machine learning can be supervised learning or unsupervised learning. So supervised learning, where we know that this is input, this is output. So the model is trained on labeled data. While in unsupervised learning, the model works on unlabeled data, and the model has to discover the patterns or grouping. For example, we can cluster the customers based on their buying behavior. So this is all. Examples of machine learning are like automatic spam email detection system, predictive analytics, fraud detection. We will understand more in detail as we proceed. Okay, so machine learning is a subset of AI that learns from data. Now, you also must have heard about deep learning. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses artificial neural networks to understand the patterns of the data. So deep learning models, they are based on artificial neural networks. So they are inspired by the structure and functioning of the human brain. So how our human brain works. So they simulate that behavior in the artificial neural network, and deep learning is based on artificial neural network. Deep learning is particularly effective for tasks that involves large amount of unstructured data like images, audios, text, and all. Examples of deep learning include image recognition. For example, you can identify objects from the photos, speech recognition. Now we can convert our voice to text. So these all. Okay. So if we see the summary, so AI is a broad subject, like you can see here. AI is a broad subject which refers to the ability of a machine to mimic human intelligence, and this includes learning, problem solving, decision making, reasoning. Okay, then machine learning, you can see machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that learns from data, and it by identifying patterns from data, machine learning algorithms, they make prediction and automate tasks. Now deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses artificial neural network which are inspired by the human brain. Okay, so I think you all must have understood what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, and what is deep learning. Now, these are the typical stages in developing machine learning models. So the first stage involves data collection. So we have to collect data from the sensors, and since many a times the data are in silos, that some data are here, some data are with some other department and all, and data could be in different formats. So we have to, and there could be missing informations in the data. So we have to perform data pre-processing, and we have to make the data ready for to be used by artificial intelligence models. So the first step is data collection and data pre-processing. The second step is model development and training. So then based on the task at hand, whether it is a classification problem, whether a regression problem, or what is the task, so there are different models which are suited for a specific application. So you have to select which machine learning model you have to use so you have to use the appropriate algorithm and develop the machine learning model. And then we actually, what we do, then we train the model using the data. So we split our data in training set and test set. So training set is used for training the data, and then the next stage is model validation. So in model validation step, we use the test data and we check whether it is performing the right output or not. So in the testing phase, in the training phase actually, so in the training phase, we give both input and output to the model for it to learn. But in model validation stage, we give only the inputs to the neural network or machine learning models, and then the AI model, it gives the output, and we check whether the output is close to the real output or not. And once we check the performance using different measures like mean square error and all. And then if the model works fine, then it is ready for deployment at the site. Okay. So these are the steps. Data collection. So we collect data and perform data pre-processing. Then we select the appropriate algorithm and develop the machine learning model. So the model learns from the data. We split the data into training set and test set. So training set consists of both inputs and outputs, and we train the data. Then the next step is model validation, where we validate the output. In this step, we only give the input data but not the output data, and we check whether the output closely matches with the real output. And once the performance is good, then model validation step is okay, and then we deploy the model. Now, there are many AI and machine learning libraries which are available freely, which are open source. What are libraries? Libraries are basically pre-built codes or functions which are available, and you can use them. So there are models, machine learning models, they are already developed. You can just use it to for a specific task. So there are some basic libraries like NumPy, which is modeled in Python, then Pandas, which are modeled in Python. So they are basic libraries which can do numerical calculations. And on top of these basic libraries, machine learning libraries are formed, like Skylet. Again, it is developed in Python. Then Spark MLlib, it is by Apache Software Foundation. Then we have deep learning libraries like PyTorch by Facebook and TensorFlow by Google. So you can use these libraries which are already developed, and you can perform any AI ML task using these libraries. There are many others, but I have just mentioned few which are very popular. Now, let us see let us understand India's power sector and how it is changing. So we are transitioning towards renewables. So there is high penetration of renewables which are anticipated. So I just wanted you to have a glimpse of India's power sector. So if we talk about installed capacity, so right now fossil fuels comprise about 52.9 percentage. We have in the installed capacity 52.9 percentage fossil fuels and 47.1 percentage non-fossil fuels. This is the data as of December 2024. And the total installed capacity is 462 gigawatt, where solar is about 98 gigawatt, wind about 48 gigawatt, and coal and lignite is 218 gigawatt. Now the scenario is going to completely change in 2930 as per the CA report, our generation forecast. So by 2930, fossil fuels in the installed capacity will be only 36% and non-fossil fuels will be 64%, with solar being 280 gigawatt, wind 140 gigawatt, and coal will be 266 gigawatt. So this is the scenario. So our installed capacity mix is going to have a big transition towards renewables. Now these renewables, we have welcomed it in our grid because they have zero carbon emission. It is a distributed energy resource. It is an unlimited resource. It requires low maintenance. There is no fuel cost. But there are disadvantages. There are challenges, basically, I would say. So they are season and weather dependent. They are time and location dependent. There is mismatch with the peak power, like India has a morning and evening peak. but solar has, of course, noon peak, right? So there's non-controllability of source. So because of these challenges, it is anticipated that there will be grid instabilities like frequency fluctuations, voltage fluctuations, power quality issues, and managing the grid will become more difficult, and it will have stress on the thermal power plants also, because solar and wind, they are must run whenever they will be available, they have to be used. So our power plant should have the flexibility. So you must have heard about flexibilization and all, which is required from the thermal plants. So these all will require, so now because of these all challenges, AI can play a significant role in deciding, in taking in decision making and automating tasks and all. So AI has many applications where AI can be used in power sector, considering this transition. And it is not only in India, in all the places worldwide, in all countries, there is a shift towards renewables, as you know. So it has, so there's a huge potential for AI to be used in power sector. Now, what are the benefits of AI in power sector? So it will help in increased efficiency. So AI can optimize operations, it can reduce energy losses, and it can maximize resource utilization by better decision making. I will tell you different applications of AI in power sector, and you will understand how AI can help in these all things. Then AI can help in enhancing the reliability. So AI can actually predict failures of the equipments before, and you can take proactive maintenance, and which will reduce downtime, and it will improve the grid reliability and stability. AI can also help in reducing cost. So AI can optimize fuel consumption, and it can enhance resource management. AI also helps in integration of renewable energy sources and promote energy conservation by predicting that how much will be the renewable energy generation and all that. So we will see the application, and it will be more clear in the subsequent section. So first major application of AI is in predictive maintenance. So in predictive maintenance, what does it mean? That it will use data, and AI will tell whether there is any faults which are occurring or not. So it will provide a early warning of the developing faults. So what are the stages? So first, it will collect the data. The system, sensors and IoT devices, they will collect real-time data of equipment health and performance, such as vibration, temperature, and pressure readings. Then AI models. So firstly, we would have made a AI algorithm using the normal data. So using the normal data, the AI models tell that what is the baseline, that is at a particular operating condition, what is the baseline outputs. So AI algorithms, they analyze historical data and make baseline models. So and then they identify patterns that indicate potential equipment failures. So you will be having a baseline vibration, for example, using some inputs, it will tell that how much will be the vibration, how much should be the vibration at this moment. And if the real value of the vibration, it is more than the baseline, then there is some fault. So these algorithms can predict, and these algorithms can also predict the time frame for failure, that when the failure is going to happen, and enabling proactive maintenance. So so based on this, you can based on this AI predictions, maintenance team can schedule maintenance tasks to minimize downtime and prevent costly failures. Okay. So this application we will see in more detail, and then it will be probably more clear to you. So here, using the neural models or AI models, we first create the baseline condition that at particular operating condition, what should be the output normal in the normal condition. And given the inputs of a particular time, the AI model will predict that this is the baseline, this should be the baseline output. And if the real output deviates from the baseline output, then we can say that there is some fault which is happening. Okay. Now, the second major application of AI is in load forecasting. So it can provide accurate predictions. So AI algorithms, they will use historical load data, weather patterns, and other factors. Like, for example, if it is a weekday or a holiday or a weekend, or what is the social economic condition of a particular region. So they can predict future electricity demand with high accuracy. Okay. So this will enable utilities to anticipate peak loads and adjust generation accordingly. So you can tell that when will be the peak load based on load forecasting values, and the utilities can adjust the generations of different resources accordingly. So it will help in optimized resource allocation. So by understanding future load patterns, utilities can optimize power generation and resource allocation, ensuring efficient supply while minimizing cost. And this all will help in improved grid stability. So accurate load forecasting, it helps utilities anticipate fluctuations in demand and adjust grid operations accordingly. And this will, of course, increase the stability and prevent blackouts and brownouts. Okay. So machine learning models, they can do load forecasting by using historical load data and weather data and other factors such as whether it is a holiday, what is the geography, what is the social economic condition of that region, and they can make the predictions that what will be the load in future. So they can provide short-term load forecasting, long-term forecasting, or medium-term load forecasting. So all are possible now with AI. Now, AI can also help in renewable energy integration. So how? Like we know that the solar and wind energy, they are intermittent, but how they will help in intermittency management, AI models, I mean. So AI can predict the output of solar and wind energy resources. So just like load forecasting, AI can also forecast that what will be the solar and wind energy generation tomorrow or 15 days later. So it can tell you that how much will be the solar and wind energy generation by using factors such as weather, that is what is the solar radiation, what is the wind speed. So all these data it can consider, and it can provide the renewable energy forecast. So this, once you know that how much will be the renewable energy tomorrow, the grid utilities can manage fluctuations in renewable energy generation, and can ensure grid stabilities, because they will manage the thermal units accordingly. Because if they know that from this time to this time, so there is a cloud cover and solar will not be generating, so they can schedule their thermal resources accordingly. Then they also help in grid optimization. So AI algorithms can optimize the placement and operation of renewable energy sources. So AI algorithms based on the geography, environmental condition like irradiation and wind speed, and the geography, social economic condition, the availability of the grid infrastructure. So they can tell where to place the where to plan the renewable energy sources. So location and all they can tell, and minimizing transmission losses and maximizing the energy efficiency. So they can help in optimizing the placement and even the angle, at which angle you should keep the modules, and also they can provide you AI algorithms. So this can help utilities achieve their renewable energy targets. Then also in market integration, now like these renewable energy is also in the green day ahead market. So AI can enable better participation of renewable energy sources in energy markets. So by analyzing market data and predicting future energy prices, so AI can optimize the operation of renewable energy plants. For example, if in your renewable plant there is a storage also, so based on the price, you can decide whether to give to the grid or whether to store in the energy storage. So you can sell renewable energy when the prices are high. So it can help in energy trading also. Yeah. So next point. Okay. Then it can help in power theft and energy fraud detection. So how it can help in power theft and energy fraud detection? So let us see. So first it can help in data analysis. So AI algorithms, they can analyze the real time consumption data, and they can identify anomalies and patterns that indicate potential theft or energy fraud. So based on the AI algorithms, they can make a baseline model that for that particular consumer or a group of consumer, this is the forecasted load that they will take. But if AI sees that there is a large deviation from the anticipated value, so that will indicate a potential theft. For example, if a consumer who takes 10 kilowatt hour 10 kilowatt hour a day, then so suddenly takes 50 kilowatt hour. So it means that there is some meter malfunction or a theft probability. So this helps detect suspicious activities and pinpoint locations where illegal connections may be occurring. Okay, so based on the baseline models and the deviation of the baseline models from the real data, they can identify anomalies and patterns that indicates power theft. Then AI can help in pattern recognition. So AI can identify and analyze complex pattern in the consumption data that may not be obvious to human analyst. Actually, this these things which humans can miss, but if the systems are told that if the systems are programmed well, then they will not be missing it. So this help detect sophisticated fraud schemes and track down perpetuators. And AI can also predict areas where power theft is likely to occur based on their historical data and social factors, and enabling utilities to take more efficient and proactively prevent such accidents, incidents basically. So it can also predict that which areas are likely to have a power theft probability based on the historical data and social factors. So this all AI can predict. And so this all will help in increased security. By using AI to detect power theft and energy fraud, utilities can reduce financial losses and improve security, ensuring reliable power to the legitimate customers. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Now it can also help in AI can also help in grid optimization. So AI can help maintain grid stability by balancing demand and supply. We have already understood that it can do load forecasting, RE generation forecasting, and then utilities can better balance supply and demand, which will prevent blackouts and ensure continuous power supply. Then for grid, it can also help in asset management. So AI can monitor grid assets like transformers and transmission lines. And here also they can make a baseline model for transmission lines and transformers. And if there is a deviation, then they can predict the early signs for failures and enabling maintenance and reducing downtime. So this all will help in reducing the cost by optimizing grid operations and reducing energy losses. AI can significantly reduce operational cost for utilities. Now, AI can also help in energy storage optimization in two ways basically. So charging and discharging schedules. So AI algorithms can optimize battery charging and discharging based on energy prices and grid conditions and load forecast. So when the prices are high, then solar can actually give to the grid, and when the prices are low, then it can charge the battery, so solar or wind. So you can optimize battery charging and discharging cycle schedules to have a better cost benefit. And then AI can also help in battery health management. So AI can monitor battery performance and the potential issues, ensuring optimal lifespan and reducing maintenance costs. So by monitoring the battery parameters, it can predict the issues like in the predictive analytics we have seen. And this all will enhance stability and power quality. So it will help in seamless integration of battery storage into the grid, ensuring stability and improving power quality. So I will be taking four things basically. What is AI? Then applications of AI in power sector. Then what are the AI models which we will use, which we generally use, and what are the challenges in adoption of AI. So now two topics are over. So we have seen AI, ML, and deep learning. So AI is basically any system that mimics human intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of AI that uses data, that learns from data. Then deep learning is basically a subset of machine learning that uses artificial neural networks. So this is what we have seen. Then applications of power sector, we have seen that it can be used in applications like predictive analytics. It can be used in load forecasting, energy fraud detection, grid optimization, and energy storage optimization. Then we have also seen the how the power sector is transitioning towards renewables. So before we proceed to the next two sections, let us have a very short quiz of 5 questions. So you can type the answers in the chat box. Okay. So the first question is, which of the following best defines artificial intelligence? It is a system that mimics human intelligence to perform tasks. It is a technology used only in robotics. It is a software that performs manual labor tasks. It is a machine that can think like a human. So please type your answers in the chat box. Yes, A. A is the correct answer. So it is a system that mimics human intelligence to perform tasks. Question: what is the relationship between AI, machine learning, and deep learning? AI is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of deep learning. B, machine learning is a subset of AI, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. AI is independent of machine learning and deep learning, or D, AI and deep learning are unrelated. So what is the answer? Please type. Yes. So most of you are correct. So it is B, machine learning is a subset of AI and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Let us go to question number 3. So how does AI contribute to predictive maintenance in the power sector? By predicting when equipment will fail, reducing unplanned downtime, by repairing equipments automatically, by reducing the need for human workers, or D, by manually monitoring equipment. Okay. Yeah, very good. A. So A, by predicting when equipments will fail, reducing unplanned downtime. Now the fourth question, what is the role of AI in load forecasting? AI generates electricity for the grid. B, AI automatically controls power plants. C, AI predicts energy consumption patterns based on weather, historical data, and other factors. Or D, AI prevents load fluctuations from occurring. So what is the answer? A, B, C, or D? C, very good. So the answer is C, yes. Now the last question. Okay, yeah, that's all. So we have, now I will move to the other section. So we will talk about key AI tools and techniques which are used in power sector. So there are actually plenty of AI algorithms which are available, and based on the task at hand, you have to decide which algorithm is the most suitable one. So I will be talking about three algorithms in brief, because of course the time is short. So I can just provide a brief of each one of them. So they all are actually based on how the human beings learn. So the first one is neural network. So neural network it is basically based on learning, like how the human beings learn, how the human brain learns basically. So it is based on the connectionist model of the brain. So it mimics basically the human brain and how the human brain learns and takes decisions, or it classifies things. So neural network is based on that. So in neural network, there are many types of neural networks, like feed forward neural network, radial basis neural network, state vector machine, extreme learning machines. So there are many actually, but we will see each one of them in detail, in brief basically. Then there is fuzzy logic. So fuzzy logic, they are used when we have imprecise information. For example, we do not have exact numbers, but we can say, okay, the temperature looks high, or the dirt level in the clothes look high. So when we can just, we have imprecise information and we can talk in qualitative terms, then we use fuzzy logic. So perception basically mimics the high level abstractions of the human cognition. Okay. Then, sorry, then the third one, we have evolutionary algorithms, which use a single objective functions or multi-objective functions. And evolution is based on, it is a slow stochastic process. 1 second, there's some problem, it seems. Yeah. Evolution is basically based on Darwinian's model, that is survival of the fittest. So evolution is based on survival of the fittest basically. And let us see each one of them a little bit. So first one is understanding neural networks. So neural network structure, it consists of interconnected nodes or neurons which are organized in layers. So like in human brain, so there are electrical impulses which are, there are many neurons, and neurons, they they collect the electrical impulses, and if the threshold is high, then only the electrical impulses impulses forwarded, otherwise not. So in the neural network, the structure is like this. So you have an input layer. So there is an input layer that receives data. Then there are hidden layers from computation, and there are output layer that gives results. Okay, so there are basically three types of layers: input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. Generally, if the problem is non-linear, then you need more hidden layers. So, but for most of the tasks, two hidden layers are sufficient. Okay, now how neural networks learn? So neural network learns by basically adjusting the weights of the connections between neurons based on the training data. They adjust the weights of the connections. The goal is basically to minimize the errors and improve accuracy in predicting outputs. As we have seen, applications, neural networks, they find applications in various domains like image recognition, natural language processing, time series prediction. And there are different types of neural networks. For example, feed forward neural networks, then back propagation neural networks. So I will explain neural networks in a little more detail. So I am talking about a back propagation neural network. So here you can see that we have three layers. We have orange layer, we have blue and green layer. So orange one is input layer. So this is input layer. Then blue one is hidden layer. Blue and green both are hidden layers. And then this purple is the output layer. Okay. So we have two hidden layers, one input layer and one output layer. And you can see that there is connections between, so these nodes are called as neurons, and there is connection between each one of them. Each neuron is connected to the other neurons in the next layer, and there is a weight which is given to each signal. So this is a signal, and weight is given to the each signal. Now initially we assume the weights, and once the weights are assumed, the output layer make the prediction. The output layer make the prediction. And then we also have a true value, because at the learning stage, when the model is learning, we give both inputs and outputs. So we use outputs for model to learn. So there is a predictions from the neural model. Then there is a true value. Then we take the difference between the two and we calculate the error. Okay. This error calculation we call as loss function. Then we calculate the loss score. Hello? Yeah. So we calculate the loss score, and based on which weight has more contribution to the loss. So this loss is basically the error between the prediction and the true value. So there is a gradient descent method which calculate dou L by dou W, that is which weight has more contribution to the loss. So weights are updated based on that. So there is a delta W which is calculated based on dou L by dou W, that is what is the difference in the loss function based on a given change in the weight. So weights are updated. Okay. So we have input layer, hidden layer, output layer. Neural network make the prediction. Then we calculate the error between the prediction and the true value. And then we update the weights. The weights which have more contribution to the error, they are updated more. Okay. So gradient descent method is used for updating the weights. Now the second one is the fuzzy logic, which I will be talking about. So fuzzy logic, there are many steps. There are 3 steps in fuzzy logics. So first step is fuzzification. So here we convert, first of all, crisp inputs value into fuzzy sets. And each fuzzy set, it represent degree of membership in different linguistic terms. So in the conventional classical binary word, we say, like, for example, if we say anyone who is greater than 5.5 is tall. So what we will say, then a person who is 5.4 will be considered short. If we have two sets, for example, short height and tall height. So, and we are taking 5.5 as the criteria to consider tall height. So, person who is 5.45 will be considered short, right? But he's also very near to 5.5. So, he's little tall also. But in the classical set, he will be considered short. But in fuzzy sets, he can have membership in both the sets. He can have, let's say, 0.1 membership in short and 0.9 membership in high. So in the fuzzy domain, you can have membership in both the sets rather than having membership only in one set. So firstly, you have to convert the inputs into fuzzy sets. Then you have to evaluate the rules. So there is the Mamdani inference system is there. Then Takagi-Sugano inference system is there, where we evaluate the rules. So we create rules. For example, you have in the washing machine, actually, in the automatic washing machine, there are sometimes fuzzy logic built in, that how much should be the time for which the machine should run, or how much water it should use. So it is based on fuzzy inference system. For example, there could be rules like, if the dirt level is high and if the load is more, if the load is high and the dirt level is high, then the spinning time should be more. So these kind of rules are built in the rule-based system. Okay, so there is a rule-based system, and these rules are computed in the inference engine. And then we do defuzzification. So we combine the results from the rule evaluation and produce a crisp output based on the fuzzy reasoning. Okay, so there are three steps. First of all, you give the crisp input. Then there is a fuzzification which is done. Then this fuzzy inputs goes to the inference engine, and there is a rule-based system which are already built, and they go to the defuzzification module, where there are different algorithms which are used, like centroid method, BOA method, and all. And then the crisp output is produced. Okay. Then evolutionary algorithms, like I mentioned, evolutionary algorithms are mainly used for optimization purposes. So if you have some single objective or multiple objectives are there, then evolutionary algorithms like genetic algorithms, particle swarm optimizations, they are used. These are the typical steps which are followed in an evolutionary algorithm. So there could be a objective function. For example, you have some 10 variables x1 to x10 which are coming into an equation, and you want to minimize it. So then the first step is that you will do a initialization. So you will create a random population of individuals. So each individuals will have this 10 variables, okay, x1 to x10 of different values. So we will give x1 could be between 1 to 5, x2 could be between, let's say, 2 to 10, something like that. And then a random population will be created first, each representing a possible solution of the problem. Then we will evaluate the expression used for each individual. And this evaluation is called as fitness of each individual. Okay. Then it is like I mentioned, evolutionary algorithms are based on survival of the fittest, Darwinian's theory of survival of the fittest. So based on the fitness function, then the next step is selection. So the individuals who have higher fitness scores, they will be selected for the next generation, to produce the next generation. There will be crossover. So the genetic material will be crossed over from the selected parents to parents, and our offspring will be produced. Then, so offspring here will be the solution of the problem. So a new solution of the problem will be produced. And then there will be mutation where there will be random changes in the offspring's genetic material to explore new solutions, so that only initial population is not left. We can have new solutions. And then the old, then there will be replacement. So old population will be replaced with the new offspring, and this will be repeated. This process will be repeated multiple times, and we will get the solution of our objective function. So this is the step where evolutionary algorithms will work. So if you have no idea, you may have a difficulty understanding everything, but with this you can start, and you can learn more. Okay. Now I'm coming to my next last section, fourth section, that is what are the challenges and barriers to AI adoption in power sector. So first challenge is the data challenges. Like we have seen that AI models, they require large amount of data. They works on data. So the data quality and availability is the prime challenge. So AI algorithms, they require high quality comprehensive data for effective training. But the power sector often struggles with data silos and inconsistent data formats, missing information, so which hinders the development of accurate and reliable AI models. So for example, some data is with one division, some data is with different divisions, some data is written in text format, some is in the logbooks, some is in the DCS, and there are missing informations. So this all hinders the development of AI models, and the data pre-processing step becomes more important. Also, integration of data sources is difficult. For example, like I mentioned, the power sector relies on diverse data. So we need sensor reading, we need weather forecast, we need market data, we need customer information. So how to successfully integrate these different sources into a cohesive data set is essential for harnessing the power of AI. So as we know, for example, load forecasting, we need a lot of data. We need weather data, we need customer information, we need sensor readings. So we have to combine all these data into one. So this is one of the challenge. Then the next challenge is the cost and investment. So high initial cost. Now developing these AI solutions, they require substantial initial investment. So we require investments in hardware, software, and specialized experts. And these costs could be deterrent for organizations with limited budget or risk tolerance. So this should be taken in mind that there will be high cost for implementing these AI solutions. Then not only the initial cost, there is operational cost also. So we have to actually also maintain and update these AI models. Like we have trained these AI models on a particular data, right? So we have to keep on, from time to time, we have to update these AI models for data management, infrastructure upkeep, and algorithm optimization. So why we have to update AI models? Because see, first of all, the technology is changing. So as the time after 1-2 years, there will be more better algorithms which will be available. So you have to use that. Then also the data changes. For example, if I have made a customer profile that this customer takes this much, this is the consumption of that particular consumer. But maybe after 2-3 years, that consumer group, their social background or something, that must have changed. The family members would have changed, so their consumption pattern could be different. So the model which I have built 2 years ago will not be applicable now. So we have to update the models time to time. for data management, infrastructure upkeep, or algorithm optimization. And so organizations should carefully consider that there is not only initial cost, there are recurring costs to ensure long-term sustainability of their AI projects. Okay. Then there is technological complexity. So there is skill gap. The power sector, they faces shortage of skilled professionals with expertise in AI, machine learning, and data science. This gap can also hinder in the successful adoption and implementation of AI technologies. There are so many AI algorithms which are available in the market, and so it requires skilled professionals who understand that which algorithm should be used for a particular application. So then only you can harness the real potential of AI. So you need skilled professionals for that. Then integration with legacy systems. So how to integrate AI solutions with the existing power infrastructure, the legacy infrastructure and outdated technologies, that is also a concern. The process requires extensive system upgrades and compatibility adjustments. So already, for example, we have some system for collecting the data, but the legacy systems, for example, they collect data every 5 minutes, but AI may require at 1 minute or something. So you have to upgrade your existing infrastructure and for using the AI models, how the data is shared and all that. So it requires upgrading the legacy infrastructure. Then one of the prime concern is data privacy and security concern. So data protection concern is there. So power sector, it deals with sensitive customer information, critical infrastructure data, plant data, making data privacy and security also a concern. So AI algorithms, they require access to this data, raising concerns about unauthorized access and potential breaches. So because you are keeping all these data, so it is possible that there could be cyber attack or something, and unauthorized access will be there to the to this data, and you are giving this information in public. So um, data protection is also a concern. Then there are cyber security risk. So AI systems, they are susceptible to cyber attacks. So cyber attacks means ki unauthorized access to to your computer or system, and it could disrupt operations, compromise data, and can lead to financial loss. So if there is a cyber attack, then it can give incorrect results, and um, there will be unauthorized access to the data also, so leading to financial loss. The power sector critical infrastructure is a prime target for malicious actors, requiring robust cyber security measures. So these are the concerns, but of course there are mitigation measures for that. So you have to take cyber security measures whenever deploying any AI algorithms. So you can take cyber security measures into account based on the application involved. Then one other concern is the regulatory and ethical issues. So the legal and ethical implications of AI decision making are still under debate. Now, for example, if we are using AI for a decision making and AI makes a wrong decision or makes some error in the decisions, then who is accountable for that error is also a concern. For example, so defining liability and accountability of AI driven errors is crucial for ensuring responsible and transparent use of AI in power sector. So if suppose AI makes incorrect decisions, then we have to see that who will be accountable for such errors. Then other concern is bias and fairness. So AI models, they inherit the bias present in the training data. Actually, if suppose your training data have some bias, which means, for example, if your AI is used to to check whether a particular person is criminal or not. And in the training data, you have given all the all or most of the data such that black people are being shown as the criminals. So it means it is your AI algorithm will also inherit this bias basically, and it will take this into account that black people may be criminal. So your training data should not have such bias. So preparing the training data is very important step in order to have a fair and undiscriminatory outcome. Okay, so AI models, like I mentioned, AI models can inherit bias present in the training data, leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes. So addressing bias and ensuring fairness in AI algorithm is very crucial for ethical and responsible AI implementation. Then there is a concern about job displacement. So AI automation, they raises concern about job displacement in the power sector. The potential impact on employment needs to be carefully considered. So, see, our aim is not that we want to implement AI because we want to have job displacement. This was not the aim of AI algorithm, but it is basically to assist the operators or assist human beings. So this needs to be carefully worked out that it should not create unemployment. So now there are some regulations actually which are coming up for the use of AI in order to take all these concerns into account, the regulatory concerns at least. Then the last concern which I will be talking about is the reliability and trustworthiness. Actually, these AI algorithms, we call it as black box model because we do not know, we do not teach actually the end client how AI is performing how AI is coming to the conclusion. So the ability to explain the reasoning behind AI decision is crucial for building trust in AI systems. Though they are black box model based on the data, so people often feels that they do not know how this decision is how the AI is taking this decision. So we have to actually explain people how the AI are working so that they can have trust on AI. So explainable AI allows human to understand how AI algorithms reach their conclusion, enhancing transparency and accountability. So that's why like we are creating this webinar. So we have to actually we have to teach how AI algorithms come to the conclusion. They are similar to how we are learning. So once people understand how they are coming to conclusions, then they will have more trust on AI decisions, and they will be able to have AI algorithms deployment will become easy. Then robustness. So AI models must also be robust and reliable. So they should be capable of handling unexpected events and anomalies in the power system. So for example, AI, we have trained only on the normal data, but AI should also be able to take unexpected events into account and make the decisions. So we have to train AI well, so that it can handle unexpected events. So robustness ensures AI algorithms can perform consistently and reliably under various conditions. Then transparency. Transparency in AI development and deployment is essential for building trust. As I mentioned, public understanding of how AI works and its potential impact is crucial for fostering acceptance. Okay. So with this, I will end my section with a small quiz. So what we have seen in this last two sections, so we have seen different algorithms which are used in power sector. So we have seen three major algorithms. We have seen neural networks, we have seen fuzzy logic, and we have seen evolutionary algorithms. So neural networks, they mimic the human brain basically, and they consist of input nodes, input layer, hidden layer, and output layer, and they update the weights of the connections by using the data. Then we saw fuzzy logic, which is basically used when we have imprecise information and we have some rules to define a particular output. Then we have evolutionary algorithms, which are basically used for optimization purposes and solving single objective or multi objectives, and they are based on Darwinian's theory of survival of fittest. Then we saw what are the barriers in AI adoption. So we have seen data challenges, we have seen skill challenges, then we have seen regulatory issues, then we have seen trustworthiness issues and all, then data privacy issues, right? So now a small quiz. So what is a artificial neural network? A, it is a software which is used for real-time data collection. B, it is a machine learning model inspired by the human brain that processes data in layers. C, it is a grid optimization tool. D, it is a tool used only for managing smart meters. So please type your answers. Okay, so everyone is typing B. Let us see. Yes, B, it is a machine learning model inspired by the human brain that processes data in layers. Now the next question. Sorry. So what is the key feature of fuzzy logic in AI? It mimics decisions based on binary data. B, it allows for reasoning and decision making with uncertain or imprecise information. C, it eliminates the need for human input. Or D, it automatically processes weather data. Let's see, what are you answering? Okay, B, very good. So correct answer. Then coming on to the next one. What is the main principle behind evolutionary algorithm in AI? They only analyze structured data. B, they use predefined rules to generate solutions. C, they increase energy efficiency. Or D, they simulate natural evolutionary processes like mutation, crossover, selection to find optimal solutions. So let's see what you answer. Yes, D, this is correct. Very good. Now the next question, what is an ethical concern associated with AI in power sector? AI, AI always produce perfect outcomes. B, AI employing human workers in energy systems. C, ensuring AI makes decision without bias. D, AI replacing the need for renewable energy sources. So what is the ethical concern associated with AI in power sector? Let us see what you are answering. C, very good. C is the correct answer. Then ninth question, what is the challenge related to AI's black box nature in the power sector? A, difficulty in understanding how AI reaches its decisions, leading to a lack of trust. B, AI always produces transparent results. C, AI systems are fully understandable. D, AI eliminates human oversight. So what is the answer? Please type. Okay, very good. A. Yes, A is the correct answer. So the challenge related to AI black box nature is difficulty in understanding how AI reaches its decision. Now 10th and the last question. Why are cybersecurity risks a concern when implementing AI in energy infrastructure? A, AI systems are immune to cyber attacks. B, AI system can be vulnerable to cyber attacks that may disrupt power supply and operations. C, AI improves cyber security automatically. Or D, cyber security risks are not relevant in the energy sector. B, very good. So B is the correct answer. AI systems can be vulnerable to cyber attacks. Okay. So with this, I will conclude my session, and then Mr. Praveen Ambasta will show you the real-time applications. So conclusion is, so we have seen that AI has transformative impact on the power sector. AI is revolutionizing energy production, distribution, and management. Technologies like machine learning, deep learning, and predictive analytics, they are shaping the future. And there are diverse applications of AI in power sector. Like we have seen, it can be used for predictive maintenance, load forecasting, grid optimization, renewable energy integration. And these applications improve efficiency, reduce cost, and enhance grid reliability. Then we have seen some AI algorithms which are powering innovation, such as key algorithms are artificial neural networks, fuzzy logic, evolutionary algorithms. They drive AI-based solutions, enabling accurate prediction and decision making. Then, but there are challenges, and we have to overcome these challenges. So there are mitigations being done, and in order to mitigate these challenges, so there are some challenges to overcome, like data quality, high implementation costs, skill gaps, cyber security concerns. Then regulatory and ethical issues also pose challenges to the widespread adoption of AI in the sector. The future outlook, yes, the continued evolution of AI technologies, they promise greater sustainability, efficiency, and security in the power sector. And overcoming these challenges will unlock potential of AI driven enhancement in energy systems. So we have seen this, yes, AI has potential, but there are some challenges to overcome, and we have to build trust, we have to explain AI and all, and it has a good future. So that's it from my side. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at this email ID. Yeah. And now if you have any question, please, you can type it in the chat. Yeah. Any questions, please? Okay. So if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. So if possible, a theory session can be explained with case study. Yes, in the next session, we will explain with the case studies. We will show different case studies where the AI models are used. So first we wanted to give you a theory and then explain with the case study. So what is the role of AI if it can be done regular algorithm? What a role of AI if it can be done regular algorithm? What do you mean? This is not clear, Mr. KP.